Recording in progress. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are certainly recording and we have a podcast currently in progress. This is Robert Jackson here. Thank you for tuning in. And yeah, I'm not gonna bother with my usual introductions and whatnot. We're just gonna get right to the special guest here. And when I say special, I truly do mean it. You know him, you love him. He's on VO Twitter. He's kind of like our he's the guy who's got the hookups. He knows where all the good casting calls are at. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the one and only Belsheber Rusape joining me for today's podcast. Thank you for joining me, my good sir. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much, Robert, for having me on your lovely show. Oh, but all seriousness, thank you so much for having me. I feel like I've been delaying this for so long because, well, for the longest time this year, I actually did have a lot of things on my plate. So lately, with the dry spell going on during the fall season of the year, yeah, I feel good to finally have some time to just, chill out and talk, whatever. So I've been doing good. A project that I'm in recently released its first episode, which it was amazing. It was called Broken Beat Forthbringer, where I play the villain of the episode, the Manifester. Oh my God, that was so much fun to watch. And, well, aside from voiceover, I've just been doing my own artwork and stuff because lately, if no one else is pretty much going to hire you for anything, you might as well be your own boss and just do your own thing.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it is. Like all of us are hustling and just because being a person with many talents can be an advantage. Um, it can also be a huge plus. For voiceover, I'm just I don't want to be known as somebody who just only performs and does acting. Like I create content. I'm a writer. Um, I do this.
Mhm.
um, and then yeah, I definitely want to get more into like directing and storytelling and just make my own stuff in the indie scene because that's been exploding. Like it's been really exploding since since March 2020 over the past 2 years pretty much. It's
Oh,
been
yeah,
like
for
taking off
real.
like crazy.
Yeah, like the indie scene has always been a very thriving market, but it was mostly as of late, since most network corporations have kind of been fumbling the bag, so to speak. But I mean, we're not going to talk politics and corporate scheming, but let's just say it's a good thing that indie productions have been spotlighted the way they have been lately.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, there's like other podcasts that kind of go into that type of stuff, but this is not what this podcast is for because
Right.
today we're just gonna yeah, you get to listen to our sweet dulcet tones for like, I don't know, an hour or so. Yeah. You got one smooth talking voice talking to somebody who's also got another smooth talking dulcet
One smooth
baritone, I
talker to
guess.
another smooth talker.
Yeah. Hey man. Yeah, I hear you, man. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's how it is.
Yeah, for some reason I always keep wanting to break out into like, hey, my name is Barry White. What's up? What's happening? So
Oh my god.
yeah, I just do not have the deep bass that he had. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So
Preach. You know, have you ever been tagged in something where people just like tell you, "Oh, you'd have a good voice for this," and they post a deep voiced character? It's just like,
oh
oh
my
my god.
gosh. Yeah, you'd be nice for like a radio, like a Geico ad or something, and I'm like, I appreciate it.
I know why you thought that, and while I appreciate the sentiment, no.
For real. So
Oh my god. It's
anyway,
like it
yeah.
always comes down to that. Like I remember a while ago posting about how like I like Miles Morales. I really like his character and I love the stuff that they've been doing with him over the years, like the past 10 years. Uh, but it's like for me career-wise, I want to play Peter Parker's Spider-Man. Like that's the one I grew up with personally. So and I feel like my vocal placement works better for Peter Parker instead of Miles Morales. So it's just that's just something I manifested into the air, and it's something a lot of other voice actors, especially black voice actors, we can all relate to. Like, we each have that one character who doesn't have to be black that we want to play.
Oh yeah, definitely. And Miles Morales is kind of on my bucket list.
Mm.
Because I just really loved Into the Spider-Verse, and
Mhm.
that was a really good movie. But we're gonna talk about media in just a second because now we got um, so I guess this kind of ends like the little icebreaker section, so we can get to the beginning because I do have questions for you, my good sir.
Oh, okay. Well, ask away, my good sire.
Yeah, so usually I ask, so how did you get into blah, 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 but I'm not gonna do that. Instead, what I am gonna do is, so let's talk about like, I mean, I think some people know how you got started, but like, what was it that actually like that just um that set off that like creative itch? Like, what was there any specific point in your life where you're like, hey, maybe I want to do this? Or like, did anything like from your childhood set off that like that drive that you want to pursue something like this? And it's like, yeah, this is totally
Ah,
something I want to do for a living, or like just anything that you do in general, not just in acting, but just drawing, just
oh,
anything,
okay.
pretty
Well,
much.
in that case, well, in terms of like being a creative artist in general, I've always just kind of been like creating things overall. Because when it came to art, I was the kind of kid who would always draw his friends in school and just like hand them out to each of my classmates. It was really fun because it's like it gave me an early sense of studying my surroundings to basically incorporate that into my work. So I've always been drawing like my entire life. So that's something that just kind of evolved over time, especially when I learned the trick and the trade when it came to digital artwork, especially when I started to recently gradually let go of a lot of my artistic crutches in the field of digital artwork. So there's that. Now, when it came to voiceover, plain and simple, like I've always wanted to be on TV or just like be the characters that I was like the characters that I played in video games, the characters that I saw in my cartoons. Just it was just an innocent sort of idea really going on. So the more I looked into it in middle school, that's when my fascination really peaked. And I didn't pursue it proper until after I graduated high school. So back in 2016.
Yeah, that's nice. Yep, I was also that one kid that wanted to be on TV, like Nickelodeon, the Disney Channel. I'm like, yeah, I want to be a kid actor on those shows. But then it never really worked out, probably because I had no idea how to break into showbiz when I was
That
a kid.
feeling
I
hits
was yeah.
so hard, like, when you say it like that, because like, I always wanted to be just like those other kids that I was watching on TV, but it's like, I had no idea how it worked, and maybe living in Texas wasn't exactly the best way of trying to assume that could be a possibility, but, I mean, I'm glad I started as an adult because it meant I could just like work things out on my own and gradually learn on my own the trick of the trade so that I didn't have to, continuously fumble around or wait till other people fumbled around to know certain things.
Right, right. And also being a kid and all, and I had no knowledge on how to break into the industry. I probably would have made like, I don't know. I would have been really dumb and just still like I don't know. It still probably wouldn't have worked out because, as a kid, I would have made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah,
I would have done something
on
really stupid or like, I don't know,
oh
just
god, on my
yeah.
end, I was a very troubled child, so I would not have been a good child actor. Oh my god, that would have probably messed me up as a kid.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
count your blessings sometimes. Like
I mean,
it's one of those things where you kind of look back and it's like, God, I'm glad I'm not the same little shit that I was before.
yeah, like
God, imagine trying to start a career when you're already crappy enough of a person.
No, 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 no. I don't
Yeah,
think that. I don't think this way about you,
no.
my darling. I don't think that way. Nah, I
I
don't.
see the thing I appreciate the most about starting my career in 2016 was that I was continuously learning along the way because I was going to college around the time. And so as I was going to college, it gave me ample time to continuously work on my craft. Like while I was pursuing voiceover, I was also pursuing art in different forms. I was learning in school more about art. I was using all my time in college to essentially establish my name and like put myself out there, while at the same time dabbling in different creative mediums, because that's where I essentially picked up writing for demo reels.
Ah, okay. So we'll probably get to that in a little bit too. But yeah, as a kid, I think we were all just kind of like when we were children, we just loved watching like animation, like cartoons, movies and whatnot. And I think that's sort of was what indirectly led to a career. Like we're still acting, but we're doing it from our safe comfort zones of our homes. So, behind the
Amen,
microphone.
good
So
sir.
yeah. So at least there's a silver lining. There's a another possibility because like I mean you can still do like TV and film and theater and whatnot. I know that a lot of people just something else that I've really noticed about the industry is that like VO has kind of like it's also been thriving since like 2020. So I guess if there's one of the
Yeah.
many positives about this pandemic is that like
Oh,
so
yeah.
many
It's like,
people have like starting their careers and we're just all like hey I know this person, it's like I know this person, it's like oh my gosh, so
yes,
many new people are just killing it. Yes,
everyone was just booming since 2020. It's
I
like
know.
that's where so many people ended up legit getting the start on their career, the jump start of the career that they needed. And it sucks that we had to say that the world almost had to end in order to make that happen. So
Yeah, I know.
but it's a reality, unfortunately. So it's a reality because many of us that got our starts with remote recording, the actors who've been doing remote recording, pre-pandemic, and so we've just essentially just evolved in terms of the scope that we were reaching out for. So it was just like it kind of came naturally. Yeah, coming from experience, it just felt a bit more natural. Like the only difference was and this depended on the client, was whether you were using Source Connect or recording from your own end. So if you're working on
Oh yeah,
anime, you were definitely using Source Connect. And
of course.
honestly, knowing that there are a few studios out there who are still doing remote recording. Like if you've seen any of the recent Bang Zoom English dubs, yeah, they're still doing remote recording. Like a lot of voice actors that from Texas that are getting into LA gigs while at the same time working on Crunchyroll dubs, yeah, they don't have to, leave Texas to do that work anymore. So it's like there has been a benefit to all of this. Now, with that said, let's be transparent here and say not every studio has been open to the idea of working from home or hiring talent outside of LA. It's just that I wouldn't say every studio has been exclusive on that end.
Totally, totally. Yeah. I mean, it is kind of a struggle if you're already having a home studio and then it's required for you to go into the like if you have to move to like Texas or LA or what have you, it can kind of it's kind of like shutting down opportunities for uh many actors. Like say if you live in the UK or in Australia, um, Japan, yada yada yada. Yeah, it just like there's some opportunities that are going to be pretty limited. From what I gathered, like I said, the most I'm not the most qualified expert when it comes to like knowing the nitty gritty of what really goes on behind the scenes and whatnot. But yeah,
Right.
it can kind of suck. Not gonna
Mm,
lie.
yeah, it really can, but
Yeah, because I
there's
know like
also yeah,
I'm
because
sorry.
like not every venue, like not every hub in voiceover, so to speak, has access to all these really cool gigs. Like for example, all the LA studios that we know of that produce anime dubs or video game dubs or just recording for video games and cartoons in general as prelay work. Not every one of them offers the same access to every single person, but at the same time, over where all those actors live, maybe they don't really have that much access to that work either. So, like in where they live, because I do know that like in Britain, they do at least have some recording studios. Like, well, they probably have a lot of recording studios. It's just that I've only recently been noticing there has been like a major uptick when it comes to British English dubs, like the Xenoblade video games, for example, as well as the what's it called, Triangle Strategy?
I don't really know.
Yeah, okay, the Triangle Strategy. Think I think it was that one. I'll look it up real quick because it had the same art style though. Like that's why I was trying to reference it. Okay, yes, so it was Triangle Strategy, right? So that came out this year. Like Triangle Strategy has a huge roster of not only British talent but also American talent.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, lately there have been a lot more. Oh, Arc Knights. That's the other game I was thinking about because that one, oh my God, like lately we've been seeing a plethora of British talent getting their names out there. Oh yeah, Bravely Default 2 from last year
Yes,
was
Bravely
also
Default. Yeah,
yes. Okay, so
that's
Bravely
another
Default
one.
2, Arc Knight, Triangle Strategy, and Xenoblade Chronicles are prime examples of British talent, getting to finally rise up in the industry. Because realistically, let's just say in America, when it comes to the relationship between British stories and hiring British talents, ooh, yeah, no. That's not been the best sort of situation because a lot of the times it's either you have the British accents or you just have everyone sounding like an American. And it's like, even when you do have the British accents, it's often not British actors getting the chance. And let's just say I've heard the difference between a British actor who natively speaks with a British accent versus an American actor who speaks with a British accent. And British actors will instantly tell you what's wrong with your accent. Just saying.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So going back to the topic because like yeah, we could also discuss about this for like a long time, but like I have
Yeah,
other
but like
questions and other topics.
it's
Yeah.
not our conversation to have. It's
Exactly.
like honestly,
Yeah.
I don't feel equipped to really talk about this, but it's like I'm just passing on what I've pretty much heard from every other British actor who feels like they have to pretty much compensate with trying to get more work as, voicing American characters because oftentimes when the story has to go towards the British route, they're not exactly given the fair opportunities that they should be getting. So it's like that's a conversation for an actual British person, but
Of
I'm
course.
just
And
leaving
I've
that
had
discussion topic out there in the air because it needs to be said.
and I've had like actual British guests on the podcast, so it's like
Mm,
if you wanted to check out if you wanted to listen to like more about this topic or discussion, I mean I might bring this up the next time I have like a British VA on here, who knows, we'll see. Then they'll be able to provide like more valuable insight into this. But yeah, going back to the whole remote recording thing, like I mean, Texas, because you're based in Texas, if I'm not mistaken,
yeah.
and I'm in LA, so it's pretty much like
Mm,
two vastly like I know that LA is like a lot more. How can I put this? It's more broader with the broader. It's like there's like more like flexibility and variety when it comes to like working at a studio. I mean, you got like Disney, you got Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, Warner Brothers, Bang Zoom, and I know that Texas is mostly known for like the anime recording studios. I'm not sure if they have like animation, but like I know they do a lot of video games down there. But like for LA, um, because I know there have also been talks about like the SAG union, and a bunch of other stuff that I'll probably get to later on in the podcast. But
I
yeah,
mean,
it's just
if you
doing the
want to, we can pretty much just like skip ahead and actually start that conversation.
Yeah, we will, but I just wanted to ask you like just some questions before I get to the juicy stuff.
Got
Um,
it. Okay.
so I know that you were kind of known as I think one of your old usernames from when I first started talking to you way,
Oh
way, way
boy.
back then. Wow, just I can't believe it's been this long. But yeah, True Myriad, or I
True
think I'm getting
Myriad. Yeah,
Myriad.
that was
Yeah, so where did that
okay.
name come from? Just out of curiosity.
Oh, this is a little cringy, but yeah, it came from my high school love of Persona 4, because Yu Narukami, one of his moves is called Myriad Truths. So yeah, plain and simple right there.
All right,
It was
keeping it short and sweet and to the point, I guess.
legit. It's like a lot of my thought process isn't exactly as complicated as I think it is, but when you look back, it is way dumber in retrospect.
Oh yeah, yeah, totally. Um,
Oh my god.
yeah, so how was it like when you actually first I know you said that you got your start with like R to VO, so how would you describe like um pretty much and because you've been working like um very, very hard over the last few years, but how would you describe your first experiences being online and starting your journey in
Oh
VO and art?
man.
Yeah. How would you describe
Well,
that? The
when
baby steps, I guess.
well, when it came to starting VO, let's just say, actually, I will say there's a lot of things I wish I knew back then that I know now, especially when it comes to VO etiquette and like setting up your entire arrangement. Because, oh my God, when I started out, I was recording on the floor with a Bumblebee desktop microphone, and I was just, oh, oh God, do not lay on your stomach and try to record at the same time. That hurts. That does not feel good. And as I, because bear in mind, I was living in an apartment near my college, with my older brother at the time when I first started voiceover, and there were cars and loud noises going off all over the area. So that gave me a war on my patience. So it was just, oh my God, like I was not in a place where I could just concentrate properly at the time. So it was just a matter of learning to take the good with the bad. And over time, I learned, do not lay your mic on the floor when you're recording. Okay. Have it stand up on on a microphone stand while you're recording. Okay. Treat the room so that it properly works with the microphone. Okay. Like it's just, you see where this is going. It's like a lot of stuff that seems simple at first, but it's like based on what I was working with, I didn't exactly understand it all too well. And given how busy I was with college, it didn't exactly weigh well on my sanity all too well.
Yeah, I get you. I get you. So, being being a uni grad, what would you say, what was the most, I guess, experience or like just any piece of advice that really stuck with you? What did you really learn and what did you really get out of your time being in school?
Hmm. I guess when it came to school, it's just that I think the biggest takeaway for me personally was that I feel grateful knowing that I had my parents' full support throughout my journey, because I I changed electives several times. Like, so it was like I went through a huge runaround each time throughout my education. So trying to make sure everything was working well within my abilities, because I tried going in for music initially, but that didn't exactly pan out that well. So I decided to pursue art instead, which was going super well until I hit a crossroads mentally with the instructors and the program I was being placed in, as well as the scheduling that happened at the time. Because let's just say, around the time I got my first ever recording session for Walla at Funimation Entertainment, back when it was Funimation Entertainment, I unfortunately had to miss out on a whole session because it was taking place during one of my school days, and I was just like, this is not for me. I really cannot. This school is killing me. So when the semester ended, I transferred over to UNT, and from there, everything was actually working perfectly fine because I transferred over to UNT, and meant that I could live with my parents. And so we were communicating more and more about like arrangements and stuff. So I do not regret that. I do not regret transferring over and like deciding to go with UNT instead, because that's where I met some of the coolest people ever. Like the chance to a really healthy environment that really nourished my need to, continuously grow. Because living in like an isolated old town really does not bode well, especially when there's always noise blaring around, and it's recommended not to go anywhere during the night, by the way. It was just the complete contrast just was insane. I am so all over the place. I'm sorry in advance, but basically what I want to say though is, don't be afraid to change your mind. Like, you don't have to be completely set in stone in college, because maybe there's a different route for you that not everyone else is pursuing. And that's totally okay, because I went through like 3 changes with my degree plan until I ultimately graduated. And it might have taken me a little bit longer than usual than I would have preferred when it came to graduating. But honestly, I don't regret where I got. Like, I'm happy where I am right now. I have a degree and everything. I'm happy where I am right now. And honestly, okay, one thing I do tell people, I have told people, especially at one of my old jobs, was that if you can go to college, totally do it, but it's not for everyone. Like, if you can't afford it and you don't feel comfortable trying the alternative means of affording college, you don't have to. And if you want to go and start small, like community college, and then go into a university, do that as well. So, learn. The biggest thing I learned was that you need to be able to plan for different events. Just be sure to look out for yourself first. Like, don't be afraid to change your plans if nothing's going well, because no one tells you that there's only one way to do everything.
Right. So it doesn't really sound like you had like any regrets. Like I mean it did lead to like a lot of great people in your life when you went to UNT, and it just kind of changed your life for the better from what I could
Mhm.
gather. Yeah, sure did. So like I not sure if like if you had like any other career options or paths, like I think you kind of would just stick to what you're doing right now, because you did say music, and I know that like if you pursued, I mean right now you're pursuing VO, but like for music, I know that it can come in handy like when it comes to knowing the music, and when it comes to the rhythm, like when you're recording anime, it can
Mhm.
definitely come in handy for sure. But yeah, I guess I wouldn't even ask like if you had any other career options or paths. Would you pursue that, or are you just content with what you're doing right now?
I'm perfectly fine with where I am right now, although there's no shame in continuing to pursue new paths, because that's how I've pretty much That's how I've been pretty much floating about at this point because I like there's one thing that piques my interest, and then I get another, and then I'm just continuously,
And another, and another,
like
and another.
finding new things that interest me and that I want to pursue. Like I've considered I've considered potentially the idea of like getting into, like writing and animation and stuff like that, but that I'll just take my time with.
Yeah, that could still happen.
Mhm.
So, yeah, join us in part two as we talk about Bell's roles, favorite VAs, the industry, union stuff, and yeah, a bunch of juicy topics. So stay tuned for the second part of Station Square. And until then, yeah, stay perky. Bye.